It's sleek, fresh, and fast.
Everyone, anywhere can hop on to
primemediaplus.com.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Teen Junction podcast. As always, we're so grateful to all our listeners and all of you that constantly reach out to us on our social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook. Wherever you're listening to us from, whatever podcast platform, remember to follow us, subscribe to us, like us, so that more people can find out about us and this podcast will continue to grow and help others. Today's episode is a very heavy one. But a very, very important one. And it could be triggering for some listening. We're talking teenagers' mental health, but in particular, we're talking suicide. It's a conversation that comes from a deep care and concern for our teenagers. If you do feel triggered by what you hear today, please reach out to somebody. We will give details at the end of this episode of organizations and places you can go for help. Personally, this is the hardest Teen Junction episode I've ever had to record. It's an extremely sensitive conversation, but I hope it'll be one filled with love and hope and practical insight. On the 4th of August in 2024, Matthew Ernstzen, a grade 10 pupil at King Edward High School for Boys in Johannesburg, took his own life. It was a story that rocked the community, and 1 year on, we're still feeling the ripple effects of Matthew's loss. Apart from a large grieving community, a lot of friends and family, Matthew also left behind his father, Dave, his brother, James, and his mother, Ashleigh. And Ashleigh, who is now the founder of Matthew and Me, is our guest on the podcast today. Matthew's mom has a very important message she would like to share. Ashleigh, I just want to commend you on the bravery on reaching out to me and saying, Cindy, I really want to share my story with you today. And thank you for coming on the Teen Junction podcast, because this is a very important conversation that not many people and parents are willing to talk about.
So thank you. I'm sure there will be tears today.
Take your time. Do you want to start with telling us?
No, I've got it.
About Matthew.
Okay, so first, thank you for inviting me to speak on Teen Junction podcast. It's a real honor to be.
And I'm sure it was a real honor to be and to still be Matthew's mom.
It is. So,
tell me about Matthew.
Sure. He was a beautiful soul. He really was. His kindness ran deep. I think anyone close to him felt that they were seen, that they were loved. His gorgeous laughter would bring warmth to any room. He filled all our lives with joy and with love. He was a friendly guy. He was the go-to guy. He adored his friends, especially his best friends. He treasured his family, loved his pets. He threw himself into anything, into his academics, into his cricket, into his rugby, into his pipe band, into reading books.
A busy boy, like all boys are.
A busy boy, like all boys are. He loved his holidays. He loved his weekends. He had a boundless passion for his future, wanting to be an architect, wanting to be an engineer. And I think subtly in all of that, wanting to spread kindness and wanting to change the world. He brought me the happiest of days.
What's your fondest memory of Matt?
There are many. There's 16 years worth of memories. From learning to walk, to riding his bicycle off to school, to dressing up as a fireman and mowing the lawn.
Cute.
To going off to play cricket with his cricket bag, to coming off the rugby field with his ripped shirt, muddy pants, grazed knees. There are loads of memories. 16 years with him.
Oh, boy. And You and I have spoken before we came on this podcast, and you shared a beautiful story about how Matthew was doing rugby training with a boy who had joined from another school, and the boy wasn't keeping up with the training. And how did Matthew step up?
So the boy just turned around and said, "This is not for me.
Sucks.
I can't do it. I can't be at the training. I'm not gonna make it." And Matthew stopped his progress, and he said to the boy, "I will do this with you." And he made sure that he stayed with the boy till the end of the practice.
So is that how you would say he navigated school and friendships and social situations, always willing to step up and help people who he could see were struggling? Take your time.
He did. His happy place was walking through the school gates. And I think as a little boy, he was just kind. And he was always looking out for others. Okay, I got this. Tears, I should have cried before I got here.
No, I think it's very important that you cry when you need to cry and not hold back, because your story is one that literally gives everybody goosebumps, because it is a parent's worst nightmare. And I don't believe that you need to be strong for anybody at any given time. I believe you need to feel what you need to feel, and you shouldn't have cried before you got here, because it would be abnormal if we were sitting here talking about your remarkable child and you had a smile on your face. I would be deeply concerned for you if that was the case.
No, that is true.
This was never going to be an easy episode.
No.
Right?
No.
What do you wish people understood about Matthew, who he was, beyond the story and beyond this being his story?
I think that behind, especially towards the end of his life, I think that behind that smile was a dark place. He was depressed, he was anxious, he was feeling hopeless. He felt that he had no worth. And I think that comes from him being such a high achiever. He was a high achieving academics, wanted to be in the A-team cricket, A-team rugby, and be the best at anything. And I think he hid lots behind his smile.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people just can't understand, was how did Matthew land up in this position? Because he was so happy and everything looked fine. And I think that's the message that will come through our conversation today, that anxiety, suicide, and depression can hide behind a smile.
They really can. They really can. So as a parent, you can think you're on top of it. I mean, we don't have the answers. I say it to my kids all the time. I'm parenting for the first time. I haven't done this before, and we don't have all the answers. And I'm sure so many people have asked you this question. Were there signs? And I mean, you've just said he was smiling, he was happy. Were there red flags?
So that's an interesting one, because I don't think there are often warning signs per se for suicide, but I think there are red flags. And because of our lack of knowledge and even guidance and support from professionals, we weren't made aware of those signs. So had we had the knowledge, we might have been able to pick up on those signs. So I'm aware of those signs now. So the one thing is he changed his screensaver on his phone.
Let it out. Rather out than in.
I know. So a few weeks before he passed away, I'd asked him to change his profile pic because it was of him in a rugby jersey that you could identify him as being a case boy. And I think we're just so mindful of social media, you know, and yeah, I said, just change your photo to either make it black and white or just take your school shirts out so that no one knows that you're at the school. You know, just trying to teach social media awareness and things like that. And he changed it. I can't remember now, but something about monsters. I don't know if you can remember, but something about there are monsters out there. And then his screensaver, he changed to 2 angels, a white one and a black one.
Which I'm sure at the time...
No, at the time I just
didn't...
thought, you know, he was a really deep thinker.
Yeah.
He was reading a lot of philosophical stuff, and I just thought, okay, he's just trying to not be a teenager, but it's one way of, like, we knew he was struggling, so it was his one way of saying like, this is all okay, you know, like there are monsters out there, but you can fight them. And yeah, he had, it's a black and a white angel on his screen. And I didn't really think of it. I just sort of thought, okay, angels. I didn't see it too deeply. And then on the day that he passed away, his chain with his cross broke. And he came to me and he said, can we get it fixed? So I said, yes. I said, I had some work to do during the day on Saturday, and he was also doing some work, and it was like sort of mid-morning, and I just said, you know, Matt, tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow's my birthday. We've got absolutely no plans. I'll get your cross fixed tomorrow. And then I found out later on he'd given his St. Christopher to his younger brother. And those are all warning signs.
But only that you can see in hindsight.
Exactly.
So when you reached out for help as a family, how did you navigate that? Because I can't imagine it would be easy. You know, if the saying, you're only as happy as your saddest child, and the family can only function as a unit if we are all functioning together. So if one link is breaking, how did you navigate that as a family?
Okay, so in the January of that year, he did reach out to us. He was not good at verbally communicating, and he sent us a letter, and he said, I have suicidal thoughts. And our response was to get him help.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say there was a panic. There certainly wasn't a panic, but there was an urgency. So we went to our GP, and our GP said that was way beyond his level of expertise.
Yeah.
So he managed within the next few days to get us with a psychiatrist, and then a few days after that, a psychologist. I don't know if that was necessarily the right route for us to go. I don't always think that medicine is necessarily the right thing, but I think initially in his case, he was struggling to sleep. So something that could help him sleep. And he was put on, it was a very mild dose of antidepressants. And when I reflected back on my doctor, he said, okay, so it's not as serious as we thought. If that's the mild dose of antidepressants, it's a short course. Everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was where we were at.
You know, I hope that as a family you don't beat yourself up too hard, because we do place a lot of trust in medical professionals around us who we trust will know what is best for our child. They're the experts. They deal with it day in, day out. I mean, you yourself are a teacher. When you've got a student in your class, you're doing what you think is best for the child, and then parents will say, oh, the teacher got it wrong completely. So I hope that in all of this journey, you're not being incredibly hard on yourself on what you should and shouldn't have seen.
No. I think we are learning to, you know,
as a family.
Yeah, as a family, we haven't really asked too many whys. Maybe in our own quiet space, individually, we may have asked whys, but as a family, no, not at all. And I think, approach that we've taken is this is where we found ourselves. How can we heal? How can we grow? How can we get better? And at the same time, realizing that the process of grief that all three of us are going through is all completely different.
Yeah.
And we're all going to approach it in all completely different ways.
Yeah.
So sort of my healing was to start this foundation, Matthew and me, alongside with Dave. And then with our youngest son, initially we just sort of told him that we were just doing this just to help us through the grief. And he didn't really necessarily embrace it that much. But as things have gone on, he's trying his best to support us where he can, but he is finding himself in a position of being overwhelmed, because one of the interesting things is I didn't know you could hold two feelings at the same time.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could hold this unbearable grief and sadness and still laugh and be happy. And I think that is very overwhelming for James, because I think he doesn't understand. I think you're either sad or you're happy. And as much as doing stuff for Matthew and me brings comfort, it's a reminder of his loss. So I know that that's something that we've got to navigate. But personally, I haven't asked too many whys. I know I haven't been angry, but I'm aware that all those stages of grief we will cycle through in the messy way that it is.
Yeah.
So we just try and hold space for each other as much as we can and know that we're all going to grieve differently.
Yeah.
But we don't blame ourselves.
That's
Yet.
very important. No, don't say yet. Very important. You touched on social media and, asking Matt to change his profile picture, etc. Do you think social media had a big impact on him in his life?
So, no, I think Matthew's was, and I don't think solely, I think Matthew's was very, very complex. I think depression is complex. I think anxiety is complex. And I think there were definitely layers. So if I reflect on my reading that I've done since then, Matthew's was a feeling of hopelessness and not feeling worthy and not feeling a sense that he belonged. And that came from a point of being a high achiever. So I don't necessarily think it was only social media. But to make the listeners aware, I think these days social media bullying is a big thing in teenagers at the moment. I think another thing are the academic pressures, and not only academic pressures at school, academic pressures to get into university. Even you find that your children are degreed or have a tertiary education and now they can't find jobs. So I think there's a lot of academic pressure around that. I think there are family stresses, particularly in South Africa.
Yeah.
With what we are facing as South Africans. And then there are relationships and family pressures. Not every family is perfect.
No,
so
definitely not.
And I think sometimes you might not understand the effect of family dynamics on your children because they sometimes won't speak up. And then I don't know necessarily how much of a big issue it is, but teenagers are affected by global events.
100%.
And that's also fed in with social media. So those are the main ones. But I think Matthew's was complex. It was, he had broken up with his girlfriend. It was a year before. But all of those things interplay into it. So I think I don't think we can say it's just one thing. It is, it's lots of layers.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of layers.
That's a very important and very good answer, because I think as parents, and I'm extremely guilty of this, I'm very quick to blame the phone and the social media. And sometimes that's not it. There's, like you say, there's layers to it and there's more to it. Within those layers, in the week that he died, had anything changed?
No,
because I'm
so
sure
what-
parents listening to this are going,
Signs.
yeah, signs.
What are the signs? So the weekend prior to that, the previous weekend, it was incredible. We'd had a family reunion. It was a big derby fixture. Cares, Maritzburg College. My brothers are college old boys. My kids go to Cares. So my brother and his wife and my niece and nephew, so Matthew's cousins, Scott and Cassidy, they'd come through for the weekend. We had my stepsister from the UK. She'd come out with her daughter and her husband. We've got my other stepsister in Johannesburg. Her kids go to KEPS. They were here. both my mom and dad, who I've got a very blended family who are both divorced and remarried. They were here, and in the beauty of my blended family, we've managed to keep things wholesome. So
Stunning.
we were all at breakfast. So yeah, sort of at all our fixtures on the Sunday, and on the Saturday, and we all went to breakfast on the Sunday.
Lovely.
So it was just a beautiful morning. And Monday morning, dropped him off at school as usual. It wasn't too a hectic week. With not too many academic pressures, sort of the August time of year. It was the last season of rugby. Pre-season cricket was starting, so it was really chilled. I know he was coming home looking forward just to some, a relaxing weekend. And then his best friend's sister had her matric dance. I know on the Saturday, he was asking the whole day, when are we going to matric dance? When are we going to matric dance? I know his dad fetched him late on Friday afternoon. He had his first job that night. He was waitering that night at an SPCA event, a fundraiser. And so I know on Friday nights he got home quite late, but he came through to my room, gave me a hug. Hi, Mom, I'm here. Climbed into bed. So, of course, on the Saturday morning, I let him sleep a little bit late. Another warning sign is I was going through his school bag like, boy, I need your washing. Can I, take it out your bag? And I had found a week of his tablets that he hadn't taken. And I think that is another warning sign. And had we had enough information and had it been made a little bit more explicit to us on what to do if we found an entire week's worth of medicine not taken, yes, I would have reacted differently. I would have taken him straight to a medical facility, just because those are hectic drugs that our kids are on. And I didn't think it was so serious that I needed to have taken him straight away. I just sort of thought, no, just take a morning tablet and things will be fine. But I think it had dropped him so badly. So that was another warning sign. Anyway, I let him sleep. He woke up. We were just chilling around the house. Dave had to go to work. He had an open day at his school, so James popped along with him. So it was just Matt and I in the morning. And that's when he came to me and he said his necklace was broken. And then when James came home later, he gave him the St. Christopher off his necklace. And all of those are warning signs. But he was happy throughout the day. I think there was a rugby match around lunchtime. And then in the afternoon, we went to Britain's farewell. He got to see his best friend, Troy. We came home. We had dinner. And then it was an early night. I know we were all a little bit tired and we went to bed. Yeah. So he wasn't alone. We were all at home. So there's a safety, I suppose, in that for him.
Yeah.
So
literally a normal week apart from the medication. And there's a common theme that you keep repeating is that you feel like you weren't educated enough around the dangers because he had been diagnosed with depression. He had suicidal thoughts. It almost feels like the people in your space who were helping him, who were dealing with him, didn't help you and prepare you or warn you.
Yes, I definitely think that more needs to be done in South Africa about mental health first aid. SADAG are amazing. I just wish I'd heard about them before Matthew and not after Matthew. They are an absolutely incredible organization with resources, support groups, helplines. Yes, and I think it's just little things that we could have been taught. Like, as a family, I mentioned that Matthew wasn't really good at verbalizing his feelings. We could have been given more skills on how to just be calm and peaceful, how to not panic the minute there was an issue, how to talk, and that actually say the word suicide, and that there was nothing wrong in actually saying, Matthew, so are you feeling suicidal? It is not going to cause him to be any more suicidal. In actual fact, it would have created a release for him because it would have given him an opportunity to talk to us about his feelings. And we weren't taught to do that. We weren't taught to talk to him about suicide or say anything or look out for the warning signs. Or one of the things we've learned since then is have a safety prevention plan in place, that he should have had a list of 5 people on his phone. Okay. That when he was in this space, he should have called them. Along with that safety plan, very, very visible, he should have had a list of things that are worth living for, and a list of things that make him happy. And that's on one of the resources that SADAG provides, is this safety prevention plan. And yeah, I think that it would have helped.
And I mean, I don't mean to stereotype or label one specific sector of teenagers, but we do find it with boys. Boys, especially from all boys schools, and I mean, I have all the respect for all the boys' schools in the city. I love all of them. But there is that bravado that goes with going to an all-boys school, that you can't be seen as weak, that you can't be seen as soft, that if you are having suicidal thoughts, well, then you are weak, which is not a weak place to find yourself in. It's a reality of life. You have to speak up. You have to speak up to somebody around you. And I think boys are scared to speak up to even their best friends because they're worried about what will they say or how will they react or will they see me as less if I speak up about what I'm experiencing. And it's interesting because I actually, over the weekend, was working with the Johannesburg Junior Council, and there was a cares boy there. Yes. And he said to me, "Ma'am, please will you come to our school and just talk to the boys and tell them it's okay to speak about your feelings?" And I said, "Well, actually, I've got Matthew's mother coming on my podcast next week." And he said, "It's so important because he said it, as boys at boys' schools, we don't speak enough about how we feel."
It's true. It is. It's definitely true. And I think that we need to teach people to say the word suicide. I think there's a lot of literacy around suicide and mental health, and it's a word we're afraid of, so that leads into the stigma. I think we need to clarify the terminology around suicide and mental health. And I think in doing that, we will break the stigma. And I think that is vital. You know, if we go back in time, the best way I can parallel it to is when HIV was a thing. You know, you didn't want to say, "I'm HIV positive." You didn't want to say, "I have AIDS." And it took us many years in South Africa to break that stigma. And now it's spoken about freely and openly. So we need to do the same with suicide. Try and speak about it as openly and freely as we can. But you are right. A lot of children don't want to speak up because they see depression and anxiety or having suicidal thoughts as a weakness.
Yeah.
And that something is wrong with you. And it's not. We shouldn't be defined by the anxiety, depression, or the suicidal thoughts. They're not defining us. It is just a space in which a person finds themselves. And I know within the community of people who have been exposed to suicide loss, a lot of them don't like using the word prevention because then they feel that they could have prevented the suicide from happening. So, but I understand and I do. Personally, I believe that suicide is preventable, but I think we do need more awareness. We do need more conversations.
And I find personally, and I don't know, maybe I'm speaking as a parent, I feel that schools don't have enough talks around suicide and mental health. And I know that they feel like there's not enough time in the school calendar because you've got so much academic time to get through, et cetera, or we had that person come talk last year, it's fine. It should be a common recurring thing because, as you say, Matthew was okay at the beginning of last year and had maybe somebody come and spoken intermittently throughout the year, maybe on the one day that a child needs it and the person is talking, then that number will stick with you. I mean, you said you didn't need to know about SADAG until you found yourself in here. I personally know about SADAG because of my counselling space. It's where I refer clients. But if you're not in that space, you're not aware of it until you need it. And that's why I love Matthew and Me. Tell me about Matthew and Me.
So I will, but just before that, Cindy, I just want to go back. I think, you mentioned why do schools and businesses not have talks and not have people in? And it really is about that if people think that if we talk about suicide, that people are going to have suicidal thoughts and suicide ideations, and that's not true. So I just wanted to clear that up. Okay, sorry, back down to, you said Matthew and Me.
I want to add to that.
Okay.
And I don't like to talk religion and I don't like to bring religion into stuff. But if your child is suicidal, it doesn't mean that they are possessed. It doesn't mean that they are, get them help. And I know this is so controversial to be saying out loud because we're always so scared to say how we feel. But we are living in an age of modern medicine and modern doctors who need to help us. And if your child is suicidal, the first thing you are going to do is reach out to an educational psychologist at the school. You're going to reach out to a teacher at the school. You're going to go see the principal at the school, because those people are trained and equipped to help your child. And like you said, you aren't aware that there is help until you need it, right?
Right.
So it's not saying my child is suicidal doesn't make you a bad parent.
No.
There's nothing you did wrong as a parent. That's very important to know. You can have 2 children born from the same parents who, and I know because I've got this, who are so polar opposite. You wonder, you sometimes go, am I the mother of both of these babies, right? This is what suicide, depression, anxiety, mental illness is. Everybody's brains are different in life. Yeah. Everybody is born with a different brain. Every person on this planet is unique. That's why you all have a fingerprint. Your mental health journey is not the same as the person next to you. Yeah. You are not weak because you have it. You are not different because you were born that way. And you have to reach out if somebody, or if you feel that you are like that, or if you've got a friend who possibly is feeling that way. And if your child is at school and they are feeling this way, and I know that it's very different in private school system and public school systems, because some, private schools have the mental health aspect in the space and the psychologist on campus. But I promise you now, a public school is just as equipped as any other school to help your child if they need it. And you have to reach out and have the conversations with your children. You are scared. Your biggest fear in life is your child committing suicide. Well, let me tell you something. Not having the conversation with them beforehand will eat you up for life. Way worse than just being strong enough to say, yes, my child has mental illness. Yes, we are going to deal with it.
Yeah, that's very, very important. It is. And that's part of breaking the stigma.
It is.
It is.
And this is why we do this podcast, because we are having the conversations around being open about it, about speaking about it, because the more we connect, we are so disconnected as a society through our phones. The more we connect as humans, we realize we actually all the same. We need human connections. I'm so tired of people posting their perfect lives on Instagram. And I'm so tired of everybody acting like it's normal. If I could tell you the conversation I had with my kids yesterday, they said, please stop saying the swear word. And now I woke up this morning, I said, I'm going to stop saying it. We are all normal. But if you rewind 3 weeks on my social media, we're all standing in Paris smiling. Cheers. This is us. But that's the reality of it. We need to have the conversations. And that's why I'm so glad you've started Matthew and Me.
Yes, thank you.
Tell me about it.
So one of the main areas that I felt that was missing was this mental health first aid program. Okay. So, when we were suffering with this unbearable grief and this traumatic event, and in the wake of it all and in the aftermath of it all, I was like, but the skills, surely somewhere I could have got these skills. And then I learned there are mental health first aid programs. When I was trying to search it within South Africa, I just sort of reach a dead end. You reach the end of an email, you get a response. And I just feel that even those companies in South Africa that are running mental health first aid courses, they're not out there. They're not jumping up and down. They're not going, pick me. So I want to say we are here to bring that to you. The starting of Matthew and Me, I think it was just, we need to keep Matthew's light shining bright. He was always kind. He was always helpful. He was always there for people. So if this is a way that we can continue his legacy and keep his light shining bright, and one life is enough. We do not need to lose more lives. And if we can just save another family from the trauma and this unbearable pain and the loss of a child, and if we can just save another child from this deep, dark space, then I think we would have achieved our goal. I know it seems so trivial. It seems just a silly thing to say, just one life.
It's not.
But this grief and sadness for the rest of your life.
It's hell.
We need to help we need to help families out there. So with the help of my best friend Tina, we got this company up and running. I can't even believe it's been a year and we've already had events. But I think for now, looking at putting this mental health first aid program together, looking at putting a peer-to-peer counselling within schools, because I think teenagers particularly will go to their friends first, or their friends will be the ones to find out any issues first. Interestingly, that and at home, you should pick up the changes and the behavior and whatever at home first. I think we just don't trust our instincts enough.
I also think we're overwhelmed.
Yes, we are possibly overwhelmed, and we're not looking for it, so we don't see it, and it might take us a while. But I think parents do know their children best.
Yeah.
But we don't always pick it up. You're not thinking of having the conversation, and children aren't necessarily open to you, but they're more open to their peers. So peer to peer, and then I would love to speak to schools, to put programs into schools, to put mental health first aid into schools, to put our story into schools, and not only schools, businesses, because businesses are where the parents are, where the board members are, and I mean, even in line with this, I think men's mental health also needs attention.
Yep.
It also needs awareness. So I don't only want to focus in schools. Like I said, one life lost is enough. So for now, that is where we're going with this.
I think this is so fantastic, because there is such a need for a space where children can go. I think they don't have somewhere to go when they're feeling like this. So you want to create a community, or you just want somebody listening to this today to say matthewandme.org.za. I can go on their page. There's a connect section. I can reach out to somebody, and somebody will hear me.
Yes.
Somebody will answer me.
Yes.
Right?
Hopefully we can get there.
We will
We will
get there.
dream big. We will get
We
there.
will
We're there.
get
We're on
there.
the way
We are
there.
absolutely getting there.
Yes,
100%
we are
getting
getting
there. And
there.
I love the peer-to-peer counselling in schools, training learners to have somebody that other learners can go to, who can confide in, because it's often easier to go to somebody who's around you than to go to a teacher or somebody like that.
And then, I mean, you did mention, I think kids spend more of their times with their teacher at school and at home. I, as a teacher, have not been trained to deal with these mental health issues.
That blows my mind.
It is just something I've learned along the way. I have not received any training. So I'm aware, I have a literacy on it. We know our kids are anxious. We know they are suffering from mental health disorders. We know there's ADHD. We know there's anorexia. We know they're cutting, but I have not been trained. So I think the luxury of a private school is a lot of private schools have got a wellness center.
Yeah.
They've got your social workers, your psychologists, but not all schools have that.
No, they don't.
And it's often kept secretive. It's kept all quiet. And not, no, I don't think the names and the mental health illnesses should be spread out there and everyone needs to know about them. But I have not received training on dealing with those issues. I have not been on a course there. And I want to shout out to St. Dunstan's. They did the most amazing mental health course earlier on this year. They had Luke Lamprecht was one of the speakers. SADAG was one of the speakers. They had a psychologist that did something on grief. And there were these breakaway sessions with substance abuse and the police and the South African police. I can't remember all, but that is the first conference course I have seen in South Africa.
Wow.
And I think they did an amazing job. And if we can run more sessions like those for parents, coaches, teachers, businessmen, school pupils, I think we would be reducing the stigma.
I think parents would be absolutely shocked to know that they send their kids to school every day and the teachers aren't 100% tuned in. And I get it, because there's 40 kids in a class, right? And you can't be, but you get to know the children, right? But what if a child comes to you and says, this is how I'm feeling?
So we've had that training, and I think it depends on what it is, the level of severity of the situation. So you will try and contain the situation as much as you can. One of the things you do need to make the child aware of is that you as an adult may need to tell another adult. You may need help in dealing with the situation. That other adult doesn't necessarily have to be their parents, but we do, in a conversation like this, we do try and build the bond with the parents, and we do try and encourage the child to speak to the parents. But often in the containment, it's a referral system to the school psychologist or social worker.
Yeah.
So we have gone on safeguarding courses. We have done what to do when a child comes to you, but we haven't necessarily had any specific training in what signs to look out for or anything like that. It is just, we are reminded daily to teach with kindness and teach with empathy, and realize that there are children sitting in front of you whose shoes you don't want to walk in. But very little skills, I would say.
So if people are listening to this podcast and they want to volunteer or get involved with Matthew and me, what are you hoping people will come forward and say, Ashleigh, this is what I want to do. How can I help you? And like, where do we see this going 5 years from now? Because this is definitely a much needed platform.
It is. Okay. So I'll do the 5 years from now because that's blue sky thinking. But basically, in terms of helping us, like most organizations, you can always donate. So that is an option. You can partner with us. I would love businesses. I would love schools to reach out to us and go, right, let's put a conference together. Let's see what we can do for our pupils and our parents. And so anyone in the field of mental health, any professionals, if they would like to partner with us and help run these courses. I know people have reached out to us. They've also got their stories that they would like to share.
Yeah.
That always helps. So, partnering with us, volunteering your services in terms of our company. We're looking for marketing, events planning, running our web page. Maybe you want to be an expert on our board of trustees. I think that if you have a look at our organization and you want to get involved, you will let us know and you will find a way in whichever way you want to. And then what a lot of people have done at the moment is they have had fundraising ideas. So we've got one boy he was one of Matt's good friends. He spoke lots about Morris, and I think you got up to shenanigans in maths class in grade 9. But he is riding the Joburg Ultra this weekend, and he's managed to raise 20,000 Rand for our foundation.
That's
so
amazing.
Yes, thanks to Matthew Morris for that. Yes, and then there've been other boys that have played with Matthew and me, like stickers on their cricket bats, or they've ridden in races and things like that. So I know his friends are trying their best to reach out and heal and bring the same hope and light. So there are lots of fundraising ideas. If you would like to do anything from a marathon to a walk. Oh, yes, and a past pupil I've taught ran the Cape Town Marathon last year. She's running again this year. So we've given her kits to run in. I handed that over last week. So
something as easy as a sticker. You said a sticker.
A sticker.
Because a sticker can start a conversation. Because somebody will see the sticker and say, what is Matthew and me? Mm-hmm. And you say, oh, this is an organization for if you're really feeling suicidal or depressed, you can reach out to them and they will help you. Mm-hmm. Or if you're a parent and you see a sticker, sometimes you see a sticker on the back of people's cars, you're like, what does that mean? And you just see Matthew and me and you Google it and it will come up, and this amazing platform of space for parents. And parents, this is for you. When the school organizes a talk, and they so often do, and they'll have a professional come talk to you, and 15 of the same parents rock up every time to listen to the speaker. You have to go to what the school has organized. If they organize for Matthew and me to come to your school and speak, go. You will learn something. The parents that are listening to this podcast are tuned in because they're already aware. They're already parents are going, hang on a second. I listen because I think I need to be a better parent. There's no perfect parent. We established that in a couple of our episodes. But it's about coming along and listening to the talks that the schools have provided, because the schools have provided them for a reason. There is a need for it in your community. Go listen. And then from there, spread the word to other people and tell other people what you've heard and spread the message of Matthew and me.
No, absolutely. So yes, call out to all those parents. Please support your schools. They are very, very important guest speakers that they bring to you, and we are with your children every day. We are trying to empower you. We're trying to work with you to mold your children into the best possible humans that they can be. So yes, please support your school in that initiative. And yes, if you would like Matthew and me to come into your schools, please reach out to us and we will see what we can organize.
For parents listening who might be going through the same journey as you, what is one practical step that you think that they can take from this?
I know you said one practical step.
No, you can go
I need to
we've
put more
got
in.
time.
Okay. Number one, trust your instinct. You know your child the best. So I think if you've got that gut feel, you're probably right. I think that's one of the biggest things. Then, like I said earlier on, you might notice those changes, but if you haven't noticed them, the next thing I want to remind you to do is please don't panic. We tend to get in this panic and in this rush, and you've heard that your child is suicidal, or they've let you know, and you just literally go into panic mode. I want to ask you just to keep calm, speak softly, and I think in this journey, don't you rush off and get the psychologist and the psychiatrist and the doctor and the medicine and whatever. I think you need to sit your child down and you need to say, we are doing this together. We're going to find the psychiatrist together. We're going to find the psychologist together. And with that being said, shop around, get a second opinion. Don't necessarily go with just the first one. But I think your child needs to know that, one, they are not alone and that you are on this journey with them and that you are willing to listen to them.
I think you touched on that connection and just being connected with your child. And if they do come to you, don't also, as much as you say don't panic, also don't dismiss it.
Yes.
Don't dismiss it. Listen to them. And I know I take suicide or my kids saying, I'll just kill myself very seriously in my house. You know that is because one of my children very flippantly said, oh, well, I'll just go kill myself. I said, okay. I picked up the phone and I phoned the school psychologist because I have her number. And I said, my child will come see you tomorrow. And she said, oh, Mom, I didn't mean it. I said, never say it if you don't mean it, because the day you mean it, nobody will believe you. But I was willing to pick up the phone and phone the psychologist. So if your child does come to you and they've taken the courage to come tell you how they are feeling, stop whatever you're doing, put your phone down, put your work down, close your laptop, listen to them, connect. And like Ashleigh says, don't panic.
Don't panic.
Don't panic. Stay calm. Breathe. Remind them you're in this together.
Yeah, and they're not alone.
If there's one thing you'd want every listener to remember from your story, what would it be?
You've put me on the spot with this one thing again.
You know, I'll just say one because people have a lot, but sometimes they have none. And so it's easier just to say one.
There is hope. I think you need to know that there definitely is hope. That one life lost is enough. And the extent of this anguish, the unbearable pain, the suffering of our child. But yes, there is hope. And just to leave you with something that I must have written this sometime in the last year, but I came across it. And you might be thinking, how do I navigate today? So if I can just read this to you. It's every morning when you awake, you have been given the gift of a sunrise and 24 hours to live. This is a precious gift. You have a wonderful opportunity to take this day and live it joyously with appreciation for everything that you encounter. Take in a deep breath and be grateful for this exhilarating experience of breathing in life and love. Be grateful. Give thanks for being. Give thanks for having. Give thanks for winning. Give thanks for losing. Give thanks for going and for coming and for trying, for making mistakes, for failing, for knowing, for feeling, for loving, for achieving. And if we give thanks, I think we'll see new colors. And be kind and your heart will sparkle. So a reminder that there is hope.
There's always hope. That is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
We got this.
And thank you for this episode.
No, thank you.
You are an incredibly strong woman and mother. And I think your family has been incredibly strong through this. And I think your story is going to touch a lot more people than you realize. And I've got goosebumps thinking about this, but people are going to reach out to you because they are going to find themselves in the same situation. And when you could have chosen to be embarrassed or quiet, you've chosen to say, no, this will not happen to anybody else again. And that takes a lot of bravery. And I commend you for that. And I just hope that matthewandme.org.za just flies. And you know that I will help you every step of the way. We will catch up again in a year's time, and we will be further down the line. We will still be crying.
Yep.
We will cry forever.
We will.
Because it would be unhealthy if we didn't.
Yep.
Are you happy to leave it there?
I am. There is hope. And to all of you out there, just be kind.
Yeah. If you are feeling overwhelmed after listening to this conversation, a gentle reminder, you can reach out to SADAG 0800 567 567. That's the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. You can also reach out to the Johannesburg Parents and Child Counselling Centre, otherwise known as JPCCC. As a parent, there's also LifeLine Johannesburg that offers free counselling as well. You can reach out to them as well. Or just reach out to somebody closest to you. You don't have to pick up the phone and phone anybody. Reach out to a friend, a neighbor, a brother, a sister, a cousin, an aunt, an uncle. Just reach out to somebody. As Ashleigh has said, you're not alone. You are never alone in all of this. There is hope. There is light. There is love. Life is worth living. And let's just look after each other. Be kind to each other. Listen to each other. Stay connected with each other. Care for each other. Thank you for listening.
It's sleek, fresh, and fast.
Everyone, anywhere can hop on to
PrimeMediaPlus.com.